just going to have to get back to it. What an experience it'll be for him. The cars have got so much speed and downforce now. I'm looking forward to his feedback. And that, by the way, was Dom Haynes, who was another member of the Lotus 2015 team that I was part of with the engineering team. He was the strategist at the time. So you had Alan Permain, sporting director, Ayo Komatsu, chief engineer, and Dom Haynes, who went on to be a race engineer for Romain Grosjean at Haas, and is still there as part of the team.
Okay, we're getting closer and closer to the drivers getting into race mode, getting the mindset ready to do battle around this circuit, where in the dry it can be very, very difficult to overtake. In the wet it is a different prospect entirely. Isaac Hadjar seemed very motivated, given his performance in Formula 2 here last year, where he dominated the feature race. You can understand why. He will start from 8th position in what we're expecting to be a rolling start for the 13th Grand Prix of the season. There is the championship leader, 9 points. He's ahead of Lando Norris. Lando Norris trying to win 3 Grand Prix in a row for the first time in his Formula 1 career, as Piastri makes his way back. So that hour delay, drivers just desperate to get back in the car and get back to that muscle memory feeling of what they do best.
Yep, gotta switch it on and just get back to all of the thoughts you had before, because it all still stands. We're still looking at a full distance Grand Prix, hopefully, and major points, championship ramifications at play as well. Max Verstappen here getting back in, starting 4th today, and has a great chance of mixing it with the McLarens, with the high downforce Red Bull. His favourite circuit, Oscar Piastri's favourite circuit as well. They've both got to deal with Lando Norris on pole position. And I think for Max it's going to be important to clear Charles Leclerc pretty quickly in this one as well, so he doesn't lose ground. We saw Leclerc in the sprint dropping back, Ferrari, and not having the easiest of weekends. I mean, Hamilton's had a really tough weekend and will be from the pit lane. But Leclerc, even in the wet conditions, may well struggle because he's on the lower downforce. So Verstappen needs to clear him, and then I would expect 3 cars for the win, and to call between them right now is anyone's guess.
Max Verstappen starting from 4th. Charles Leclerc prioritised speed over downforce and grip through the corners in the Ferrari. That's a updated Ferrari with a new suspension package for this weekend. That's Gabriel Bortoleto, who is due to start this race in 10th position.
Some rapid eye movements for Bortoleto, scanning across, trying to get himself back in the zone. Alex Albon staring forward, focus, head in the game right now. 5th place on the grid for Albon. What an opportunity for him and Williams. They saw their advantage slashed, didn't they, last time out by Sauber. Huge result for Nico Hülkenberg, the podium. You wouldn't rule Hülkenberg out from doing something similar from 14th. That's the way it's been going. But Albon back in the mix, and it's great to see Williams with a strong start ahead of George Russell. And George has spent plenty of time, hasn't he, behind Alex this year?
Yeah, he was saying on the drivers' parade he wants to avoid that. He wants to get him immediately, and there is the driver at the head of the field. He's 4th pole of the year. Verstappen has 4, Piastri has 4, and yesterday Lando Norris has 4 pole positions for the season. McLaren, the runaway constructors leaders, and then it's Ferrari in 2nd, Mercedes in 3rd, Red Bull in 4th position, and then that battle that Jolin was talking about. Williams have been 5th for a long time in this campaign, but Sauber closing in, and Hülkenberg has gained 10 or more places 4 times in the 12 races we have run so far this year. So on a day like this, when experience counts for so much, when it's feel in the low grip, that is when you can get drivers that wouldn't normally be contenders step forward, and at the back, a very, very quick quartet. It was Carlos Sainz, Lewis Hamilton, Kimi Antonelli and Fernando Alonso making changes to the car, and as a result dropping to the rear of the field. 4 drivers starting in the pit lane is a record for a Grand Prix. It's happened 3 times before. As Lando Norris gets into the car, he is 9 points back from Oscar Piastri. Max Verstappen 68 points back from the championship lead. 25 for a win. If you're one of our newer fans joining us, if this is your first Belgian Grand Prix, you are in for a treat. They are watching between the pines Any view will do when the racetrack is this good. You've got Franco Colapinto fans there, you've got Lando Norris fans, but the wonderful thing about Formula One in the modern age is that so many drivers, every team, every driver with support lining the racetrack. And we're getting the message on our screen that they're going through and they're checking that the track sectors are clear. That is the procedure at the start of the Grand Prix. And we are under 6 minutes to go until the green light will illuminate. Bernd Maylander, the safety car driver since 2000. He's missed a couple of races in that time. There's an amazing run that he's had as the reliable driver behind the wheel, former touring car driver, and he was elected to be the safety car driver. He's held that position ever since. He'll lead us out onto the longest lap of the year, 4.3 miles, 19 turns. And then we can get down to the business that we've been waiting for a while now, and getting the Grand Prix underway.
This track's going to dry quickly. I mean, already look at that. Down is at the top of the hill there, La Source, and then the water will run and stream down towards Eau Rouge. But the sun is still out. The temperature, it was down to 14, 13 degrees with the cloud cover. Now we're up to a booming 17 degrees. And once we get these cars out there, building up the speed, clearing that moisture with their intermediate tyres, this track will dry, I think, and there'll be plenty in the field that will be really hoping that's the case sooner rather than later. It's nice Formula One at the moment, isn't it? We get huge crowds from all over the world.
We really do.
At so many different venues. This is one of the old school ones. We've already seen plenty of shots of the Dutch crowd that have come over. They've got their own home race coming up soon. But everyone has a chance as well.
Okay, Kimmy, so at the moment, information we have is it'll be a minimum of 2 laps behind the safety cars, 2 laps behind the safety car, and then they'll call it.
So they're using that to assess visibility. So we'll have the race starting behind the safety car, a couple of laps to assess the visibility, and then it's finally time to go racing.
Okay, Kimmy, so at the moment, information we have is it'll be a minimum of 2 laps behind the safety cars, 2 laps behind the safety car, and then they'll call it.
Keep first and second over the line to start, and they shouldn't be under pressure from Leclerc on that first lap. And Leclerc will hold that over Verstappen as well, who is great off the line in wet conditions. Some of his starts, and when you're from a standing start, it's all about feeding in that throttle without bringing the wheel spin. And Verstappen's got such a great knack of doing that, but that's not going to be in play today then, with the race starting behind the safety car. So Max is going to have to do it at racing speed on Charles. And for Lando, that just settles the nerves a little bit, because a standing start in the wet is so difficult to get. You know, the inconsistencies are just immense when you don't know how wet it is. The starting revs, the clutch drop, all of these things you're kind of winging. Whereas actually now he can just settle, find a rhythm. He'll get a lap or two behind the safety car just to feel where the grip is, and then he'll be in charge and he can set the pace as the restart goes.
Okay, plenty for the drivers to assess when it comes to the grip on the racetrack. Alex Brundle, it's going to be so important to assess the conditions.
It really is. I agree with you with regards to the McLarens being happy about it being a rolling start. What they lose if there are several laps of safety car here, though, are the opportunity to use that McLaren, which is really strong in these conditions, to generate a gap early on in the race over the cars that will be less suited to the conditions further back. You've obviously got cars behind them on less downforce. An early wet start would give them the opportunity to drive away. I think it's going to dry pretty quickly now. It's warmed up a lot. You've also got the wind, which has picked up a decent amount, 6 kilometers per hour wind, which is a tailwind down the Kemmel Straight, which always helps teams and drivers or the circuit to move towards a decision towards slicks relatively early. And then, of course, if we get this warmer condition for a couple of laps with 20 Formula One cars pounding round it, it dries up incredibly quickly. As soon as you've got temperature in a slick around Spa, as soon as you've got load, then you can start to make it work, even if there are still some wet areas around the circuit. And we've seen that early jump to slicks work, not least last time out at Silverstone. It's going to be a fascinating start to the race. And then remember what we said in the pre-show. If some of those midfield teams who maybe don't have the car underneath them for wet conditions get this call absolutely right, they can gain track position. And you know how good you know how important track position is around Spa this weekend. We saw it in the sprint race. So difficult to overtake if you end up ahead in dry conditions. That's what they're going to try to aim to do. Nail the crossover from wet to slick.
Thank you, Alex. Let's go motor racing in 37 seconds time. The Formula One World Championship is about to resume. It is round 13 and it's intermediate tyres on the cars. The teams have had to wait, but we are going to resume our battle between Oscar Piastri, the championship leader, Lando Norris, who is 9 points back, and 68 points back, the reigning world champion, Max Verstappen, who said yesterday any win this season will do, but these are conditions in which he thrives. McLaren know that if it dries out, they have a car that should leave the field behind, but nothing is going how the script expected here today in Belgium. The best news is we have a green light illuminated at the end of the pit lane. The green flag is being shown to the drivers, and we are ready to get the Belgian Grand Prix underway behind the safety car. And then we're going to assess the conditions, I promise you. Then we're going racing.
I can already tell you it's so much drier than when we tried to get this one going before. And there's almost parts where there's no spray down towards Eau Rouge now. The championship connotations of this one are huge. 9 points between the two McLarens. If Norris wins, it will be at least down to 2. He could even take the championship lead again in this Grand Prix. If Piastri wins, it blows back out towards the most he's had, which is 22 points in the championship. It will go at least 16. So we're at crunch time in the championship in terms of, do we go all square? Does Piastri fight back? And this is the sort of race where really it is all to play for over the 44 laps. We're into that right now, and Max Verstappen's getting a taste of the grip coming through Les Combes, and this just looks raceable straight away.
It does look a lot better from our helicopter shot here. And Norris and Piastri lead the way. Charles Leclerc in third position in this order. Verstappen in fourth place. Piastri reporting on the radio. Kemmel Straight was still pretty tricky in terms of visibility. He's the first car in the order facing F1 car.
Oscar, how is the visibility?
Quite a lot better than before. Through Eau Rouge. After Eau Rouge, it's still quite bad. Yeah, the straight's still pretty bad.
I think we've got to get racing, haven't we? I think we've got to get racing. This is not too bad, I don't think. On board with 10th place Gabriel Bortoleto, and it looks just like it's drying so quickly through Pool. Quick corner.
Oscar, how is the visibility?
Quite a lot better than before. Through Eau Rouge. After Eau Rouge, it's still quite bad. Yeah, the straight's still pretty bad.
because it's wetter, it's going to be more slippery, I'm not going to find the traction. It's 130.
I remind you, if you need, you can extend to 20 car lengths.
And requesting that the green flag fly. It is race control's discretion whether we get a rolling start or a standing start.
The right side of the grid still a lot wetter than the left. Yeah, it's not side to side equal.
Yeah, that's clear on the video.
Yeah, we can go now. We can go now. I hear Lando Norris has been on the radio again saying a lap or two more. With every lap, his side of the grid will dry out. He's gaining. But it's literally dry on the outside there into Stabilo. There's dry parts. There's still intermediate tyres, definitely, and this is part of the drier bit of the circuit. Round into the first corner down towards Eau Rouge, it is wetter, but the track is drying so quickly. This is very cautious from race control here.
The race control erring on the side of caution because of the corner that Jolyon has been describing to you in the last hour. That is Eau Rouge, and they're worried about that pinch point at the top of the hill. Visibility there. That is the corner of concern, but quite a lot of drivers on the radio asking to go racing at the Belgian Grand Prix, and we should have been closing things out if it had been dry around this point, and we're just about ready to begin. We wait from the race director for the message that the green flag is a few moments away.
Rouge will be flat out before long.
You've driven these cars in the wet. You can tell Lando Norris knows the moment is coming sooner rather than later, hurrying the safety car up, knowing that tyre temperature and how quickly you can get temperature into those intermediate tyres is going to play a massive part. Some cars just naturally generate that tyre temperature better. Could see a huge amount of positions changing at the start of this run.
Yeah, it's your best opportunity to come through the field, especially if we do have a standing start, which we're not yet clear on. But I don't see a reason why we wouldn't right now. Let's have a look on board through Eau Rouge. There's not a lot of water, and there's a lot of speed now building for Max, who uses those 20 car lengths and accelerates there. This is where the spray lingers a bit more, up the Kemmel Straight. It's going to be a rolling start.
It's a rolling start, so they have judged that both sides of the grid are not equally dry, but it will be a rolling start. And you sensed from Lando Norris hurrying up the safety car. You see the lights have extinguished on the Aston Martin safety car. That tells us that we are going to go racing at the end of the lap, and the track is drying so quickly here. The steam at Malmedy corner rising from the tarmac.
There's no gravel being skittled down there.
There were definitely leaves on the circuit. It's been pretty blowy. It's been pretty blowy out there. If you've been with us from the start, thank you so much for keeping us company. It has been great to be talking to you about this great venue. Slightly more build-up than we wanted. It's nearly time for the real thing. One of the great circuits on the planet. A great championship battle where Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Max Verstappen, born in Belgium, just wants another win around here. He's chasing his fourth Grand Prix victory around this track. Last year, Oscar Piastri missed out by fine margins across the line. It was Lewis Hamilton who took the win here that day, and Lando Norris trying to win 3 Grand Prix in a row. The race start is about a minute away.
So Lando has his wish. There will be no standing start, and he will be able to control the pace as they launch onto lap 5, and he is doing that right now then. Backing the field up, Oscar just behind, getting your tyre temps back into the window. Bit of front weaving there. Just weaving, warming the fronts for Oscar. Charles Leclerc behind as well. You've got to be bringing these tyres up, and then at some point looking after them, as you say. It's so easy when the track's drying to route the inters and make them a sort of slick to medium.
So how quickly can you get temperature in your tyres? How much risk are you prepared to take up the hill from Eau Rouge to Raidillon? And then the major braking zone on the racetrack is turn 5. The wait is over. You may not overtake until the start-finish line, but the speed increases, and after a delay of over an hour, it is time for the green flag to fly at Spa. Let's go racing at one of the great circuits on the planet. Norris leads the field.
Needed to do, and now he has the clear view. Norris's view's not too bad because there's not that much spray even, but why does he have no pack? Well, they talk about energy deployment at that moment, but he should have it absolutely tip-top because we've been under safety car all these laps.
Well, if he didn't have the full deployment, there will be questions for the team to answer. Max Verstappen is looking very, very confident up against Charles Leclerc, closing in on the Ferrari in the battle for third position. But it's Oscar Piastri who got the effective start of the race that he needed, and he goes on to lap 6 as the race leader. Lando Norris 1.1 seconds behind. Piastri, huge risk up the hill, maximum attack. He was so close following Lando Norris, and he got by the time they got to Lake Corn.
So all is okay on Norris's car. The reply is that you just used everything to try and keep the race lead. So as Norris looked behind and saw Piastri right there, he just slammed on the overtake button and deployed all his energy, and it still wasn't enough to keep the race lead. So now he's having to weather the storm right now with Leclerc and Verstappen behind, and then he'll start to find his mojo again.
The drivers are thinking about moves further back in the pack, including George Russell, who gets to the inside of Alex Albon and takes 5th position. So a lap to assess the conditions, and the Mercedes man gets past the Williams. As Hamilton gets past Stroll, he is up to 17th.
Norris now looking more comfortable as well. He's just managed to hold that gap at a second to his teammate up the road, and now Leclerc
of the racetrack. Russell gained a position to 5th, and Sainz has gained a position, so has Hamilton. Stroll has fallen 2 places. Those are the overtakes that we've seen under green flag racing conditions.
So yesterday in the sprint, Max led the race, and the 2 McLarens had pace but didn't have straight line speed to pass. It's now role reversal for Verstappen. Red Bull added downforce to his car, and he's now sitting behind a more slippery Ferrari, and he's got to try and work an opportunity that he's not going to get on the straight at the moment. No DRS for now either. So he's going to have to manufacture something through the middle sector, which is where we're heading right now, and the area where we're seeing Charles Leclerc have some wider lines, trying to get that Ferrari back to the third sector where he's more comfortable.
Yeah, we've seen that a couple of corners. Sometimes you can go for a wet, wide line by design, but I think at the moment Charles Leclerc is just trying to rotate the car on a part of the circuit where the Red Bull is more effective. You can see Max Verstappen not using anywhere near as much racetrack as the Ferrari driver ahead. Norris has re-established himself nicely within a second of Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, so he's managed to find the grip now, and he's actually starting to nudge his way back towards his teammate, a tenth quicker on the last lap. And I wonder if we might have battle back on soon, if he can keep applying the pressure. Verstappen trying to work his way through that middle sector, but he's at the end of it now, and Leclerc's going to hang on for the moment.
So this is Liam Lawson, who started in 9th, and he remains in that position. Crucially for him, it's his teammate, Isaac Hadjar, the rookie driver. And Liam Lawson is today completing the last Formula One venue he's not raced at, so he's got experience at all the other circuits after this one. And Lawson, visor cam, brilliant visor cam to show you the driver's eye view around the circuit. Piastri, Norris, Leclerc, Verstappen, and the only change in joining the top 5 is Russell. The change in the top 5 at the front was Piastri taking the race lead. This is Lewis Hamilton trying to unleash some Spa magic once again. Carlos Sainz is the Williams in front. At least he was late on the brakes, and that's a confident move for Hamilton as Antonelli goes wide in the background.
Yeah, really nice stuff there for Hamilton. Both bunched up behind Franco Colapinto ahead, and Lewis just keeping it pinned through Blanchimont, using the slipstream as well, and then finding the inside line for a move that gets him to 16th place, and now he's going to line up Colapinto as well for another one.
Max Verstappen in close proximity to Charles Leclerc. You would be joining him on board because it's 0.4 of a second. You're looking into a wall of water, and you can see he's looking for a way by. Can't get close. That Ferrari's slippery in a straight line.
Yeah, you can feel Oscar's frustration from yesterday in the dry. Just want that extra little bit. If he can get close, he'll have the braking capabilities to try and put a lunge in. But he's just nowhere near close enough to try and make that work. Here comes Hamilton around the outside of Colapinto.
Lovely move for Lewis Hamilton, who seems a driver transformed compared to earlier in the weekend. He said it was a weekend to forget. Maybe not. Alex Albon was saying earlier on he expected Lewis Hamilton to roar through. And if you're thinking, why on earth did he peel away from the best line there? It's because they're already thinking about keeping these intermediate tyres in a working window. You can't tear through the rubber without losing the grooves.
Well, it's a strange situation here where those that have in theory compromise themselves by going for a dry setup yesterday, they're going to get rewarded soon with the track drying out at the rate it is. Already there's drying parts. We're on lap 8 out of 44, so having less downforce is not costing them as much as it might have done if this race had started in the much wetter conditions we saw earlier on. It's not been a disaster for Russell or Leclerc. And Antonelli and Hamilton, who had the chance to make the changes. I don't know what you would have necessarily gone for in these conditions now.
And these conditions, it might seem strange to say for Kimi Antonelli, but we're riding on board with the Italian teenager a few moments ago. He thrives in the wet, so he's back to instincts. He's got a little bit lost in the dry in recent weeks, but Antonelli, he will be hoping to try and find his way by. And finding his way by is something that Lewis Hamilton is doing time and time again. That's the move he was looking for 2 weeks ago. Getting past Hülkenberg. Hamilton putting a charge together now. Nice run of laps. He's loving where the Ferrari is because he said before he doesn't like this car in the wet. He does today.
Oh, this is class from Hamilton. Really, really great effort. That's 3 cars in 1 lap, isn't it? Bus stop to bus stop as he clears Hülkenberg and immediately looks at the next Alpine. Gasly up ahead.
Charles Leclerc is the lead Ferrari in this one. He's in 3rd position. Verstappen's able to get within 4/10 with 5/10, and then he's just not able, at the best overtaking opportunity on the racetrack, to do anything about it. But the less grip you have, the less downforce you have from that rear wing, and Charles Leclerc could be tearing through his tyres before Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton has come alive compared to the first 2 days of this Grand Prix weekend. He was the winner here last year. He's a 5-time winner of the Belgian Grand Prix, and he is just pointing and shooting right now.
It's not miles away from the points already. That's Pierre Gasly ahead, who's sliding wide at Rivage. Difficult to do too much here because we're up straight into Speaker's Corner. You can just see both of them fighting the rear of the car.
You've used the word confidence time and time again. Hamilton has put together some of the best wet weather drives in the history of Formula One. They made the changes for these conditions, and he is all over the back of the Alpine in a part of the circuit that you wouldn't expect it. Hamilton undoing a lot of the damage of qualifying when he had his time deleted for track limits, and he at the moment just has a command of the car that is superior. You don't see many moves into Stavelot. There's another one for Lewis Hamilton.
He's just finding grip everywhere. This is old school Hamilton right now, schooling the rest of the midfield up into 13th, and he'll look in the distance and see Ollie Behrman and the two Haas cars who are line astern right actually fighting each other, Behrman and Ocon, in towards the bus stop. And Hamilton is finding grip whilst others are just struggling in that midfield.
Sounds like someone locked a break into the final chicane. Gasly ahead of Hulkenberg, left-hand side of your picture. Max Verstappen, reigning world champion, all over the back of Charles Leclerc. He's the closest that he's been at this stage.
It feels
at
like
any
it
point
might
of the
not
race.
be too far off already. Understood. Just the straight to turn 5 is wet. It feels like it might not be too far off already. Understood. Just the straight to turn 5 is wet.
Straight to turn 5 is this part of the circuit, by the way, for our newer fans. Verstappen is able to get close. It's here where he's superior, but it's not easy to pass here.
No, we've seen that with Hamilton fighting behind Gasly. It did take Lewis all of 15 corners to make that opportunity, and that was on Gasly, not the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. There we go, you just see the drier line coming through there. No spray coming off the back of Leclerc's car. I still don't think we're at slicks at this point, surely, just yet. Here comes Verstappen.
He's got a chance to try and go around the outside of one corner. Incredible speed. Nothing between them, less than an inch. They were fighting their way through there, and he was looking for an epic move. We saw a few of those earlier on in Formula 2. Much harder to do it in Formula 1.
Leclerc's chewing through his rear tyres, though. He is also fighting the car a lot. Verstappen with the slide coming out of the Fagnes chicane as well. But Leclerc on the last lap was 2.5 seconds down on Piastri. That gap has just gone out. 7.5 seconds now between second and third, and that's why Verstappen has to get this one done, because the McLarens will have an easy run when we do get to the pit stop phase, which is nearing and nearing as the track dries out.
Race lead, and the battle for it is on the left-hand side. Norris chasing Piastri, and this was always going to be the risk. If you prioritise straight-line speed yesterday, it means that you're going to rely on the grip of those rear tyres more, and Verstappen will be desperate to make the move on this lap. And Leclerc knows it, checking the mirrors into the first turn of the racetrack, the hairpin of La Source.
He's got no traction. This will be it for Verstappen on a traction race.
And this is going to be the side-by-side comparison, and he had to deviate away from the drying line. It cost him the momentum. He tucks back in as we go through Eau Rouge. Listen in. Unbelievable commitment there, and now his best chance in the Grand Prix so far to fire his way past the Ferrari. Max Verstappen wants to race the two McLarens, but he still can't get past the man who out-qualified him yesterday.
Oh, the frustration. It's another 2 seconds they've lost on the last lap.
I don't know if it's a downfall, but my God, my tire's not gone.
And yet he still managed to cling on out of La Source. He managed to square the car off whilst Max was on the wetter part and still turning.
I don't know if it's a downfall, but my God, my tire's not gone.
Charles manages to cling on to third, and all the while Max is now damaging his tyres as well.
He's not the only one. Esteban Ocon, also high-speed setup on that Haas. He's just been passed by his teammate Oliver Behrman, who's got a much bigger rear wing on the car, better grip, and Behrman gets past Ocon in the battle. Tyre temperature. Describe for us, Jolien, how difficult this is. Slick tyres, wet track.
The first corner that you find is Eau Rouge. You have to have the confidence to get through there, because if you find a wetter part, you can just be slithering off into the barriers. We saw it at Silverstone last time out. George Russell wanted the slicks at the end, and he went off spinning through Maggots and Beckett. But look here, it's much drier if you can get around to this part of the circuit. And if Hamilton gets this fired up, he will launch himself right up the order.
Hamilton has made it through the Kemmel Straight, through turn 5 at Les Combes. He's made it through. There's no errors there. He's not gone wide. That's the hard bit. Now, every part of this circuit will be generating tyre temperature and grip for him as he tries to make use of going to the slick rubber first.
So who wants to follow suit then? They can all see what Hamilton's doing on this outlap. We can't see his middle sector yet, but if he's got it through the first part, it's going to be quick in the middle, so the McLarens are in. The first one, it's Oscar Piastri, the race leader.
Piastri pits. He wants the slick tyre immediately. That is because he took the lead. He got the first call. Race controller telling us it's normal grip conditions. McLaren agree, and they were against this idea about jumping to slicks first. They are responding right now.
So the DRS has enabled this lap as well. So Ferrari are in with Leclerc, Red Bull are in with Verstappen. This will be a straight pit stop fight.
And this is going to mean a lot of waiting in the pit lane. You can't get a penalty for an unsafe release. It's 5 seconds if you chop across another car in a manner like that. Others will continue on the racetrack. All the while, Hamilton will be bringing his tyres into the temperature window.
Slow stop for Verstappen, who had to wait for Alex Albon. Ferrari really risked it with that release for Leclerc, who just couldn't get the power down on his slicks. That was a tight one for an unsafe release, as one of the Haas cars, Ocon, has to continue a la Lando Norris out front. What about Norris's in-lap, and what about Piastri's out-lap now?
It's all about that. It's all about taking the last of the rubber for Lando Norris. It's 20 seconds lost in the pits. The gap between the two McLarens, 19.6, as Piastri fires up those slick tyres.
He should bring that down, though, through the rest of the lap, because definitely the slicks are the way to go. Hamilton looks like he's done a solid job on his outlap. Let's have a look at this release from Leclerc. There's Alex Albon.
Sometimes they're on the side of caution. Alex Albon won't love seeing his face full of Ferrari at that point. And he rejoins. This is Lewis Hamilton going through Eau Rouge on those medium tyres. And let's see, this was him making the pass. Oh, it was close. Another car ahead had those tyres. That was Lawson that he got by on the same tyres.
But he's a lap of knowledge and temperature up the road. He didn't want to go too far off onto the wetter patch. How about this? They've caught Esteban Ocon, and this is Leclerc and Verstappen again.
So they're all close together now.
What about a hard tyre? We try to go to the end. What about a hard? Would you take it now? I need an answer quick.
Hard tyre, try and go.
What about a hard tyre? We try to go to the end. What about a hard? Would you take it now? I need an answer quick.
That is not a good idea. You've got the car of Esteban Ocon on the intermediate tyre. Those on the slicks are flying past with way more grip. It's Charles Leclerc in 5th, Max Verstappen in 6th, 7th for Russell. Ocon will come in now as Oscar Piastri takes the lead on the racetrack. Lando Norris is 4.7 seconds back. That's the price of going one lap longer.
Yeah, it did not work out. That gap will go out as well as Lando gets up to speed on the slick tyres. But he did go for the hards. The mediums should not go to the end of the race. The hards should. That was the call then. Quick one from Will Joseph. Give us an answer. Lando on a hunch saying, give me the one stop. This is it. Strategy divergence for the win.
There is a big gap in the compounds this week with the Pirelli tyres. The hard tyre is a slow tyre, but it is a very durable tyre. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix belongs to the driver who went first to the slick tyres, Lewis Hamilton.
He's on the back of Albon now, so he's absolutely made this work for him.
This is Lando Norris. Asked about the hard tyres, he got the hard tyres, but it was slow on the front left.
Yeah, that's part of the damage then, that front left. I mean, look at the tyre, it's a slick to medium. He's gone all the way through the grooves, but then it's just not put cleanly on there on the front left, and that has cost him some precious time. So we'll go to the end, but it's a long way still on a slow tyre, and Piastri has a really healthy margin to start that.
8.4 seconds. This all decided because Piastri took the lead.
No hurry here, just keep it on track.
So that will be about bringing the tyre in, not taking too much from the hard in the early laps. It is the most durable of the soft, the medium and the hard, the C1 tyre on Lando Norris's car. And they took that decision because they knew that they had no chance of competing for track position.
Yeah, so they're confident there's no more rain coming for the end of the race then. That's why they've gone for the hard tyre as well. And yeah, they knew the game was up. You can only pit one car. I mean, you can double stack, but it would have cost him too much for absolutely nothing.
So estimated 5 or 6 seconds if you do that.
Yeah, so you might as well take around that, scrabbling around on an...
No hurry here, just keep it on track.
Better than just sitting there idling in the pit lane. Look at Lewis Hamilton now, up into 7th. What a Grand Prix it's been for him so far.
Alex Albon predicted that Lewis Hamilton would come flying through the field. I bet he didn't think it would take about 10 laps. Hamilton got past. We saw the replay of him getting past Liam Lawson. Look at the gap. Lawson, of course, getting the track position, didn't have the tyres up to temperature. When we talk about tyre temperature, that is the illustration of when you get the tyre fired up and working, how much time you can gain. Hamilton looking like the Hamilton of old, back in contention at the sharp end.
Yeah, look who's back in the points again. Nico Hülkenberg up into 9th as well. The experience paying off, tucked in behind Liam Lawson, and he's got himself ahead of Gabriel Bortoletto as well. So we've got a train of cars now. Leclerc and Ferrari have done a great job to hang on in that first stint ahead of Verstappen. Obviously the car in a straight line made it difficult for Max to come through, but you've still got to be so precise. Max said yesterday 15 qualifying laps is what it took to keep the McLarens behind, and the concentration from Charles in that first stint would have been immense to make sure that he just kept the car where he needed it and found the little bit of traction he had left to get off the corners. And Ferrari did a good job in the pits. He stays in 3rd. Verstappen, how close was that as well as they were coming past Esteban Ocon with George Russell and Alex Albon, who's having a flyer.
Hülkenberg up 5 places to 9th position. Hamilton up 11 to 7th place and 0.6 of a second away from Alexander Albon, who is outside of DRS and doesn't have that to try and defend from the 7-time world champion. Fastest middle sector of the Grand Prix so far belongs to the driver in 3rd place. That's Charles Leclerc.
So fastest lap went to Piastri, then it went to Norris, then it went to Leclerc, and then it went to Verstappen. They just shuffled it down the order on that lap. Crucially though, Piastri's not gained anything on Norris. So if Oscar's got to do another pit stop, he needs to start building that gap, knowing he can use more of the tyre. It's going to be, in the longer term here. We've still got a fair old way to go, not even at half distance. But if he has to pit again, Lando is in the pound seat with that hard tyre choice. He's the only one that's done it in the entire field, though. So it's the outlier that Norris has taken, and the hard still has got some work to do to go to the end, even if there is 2 steps different between the hard and the medium. It's the outlier of the tyre as well.
Oscar Piastri, super brave at the start of the Grand Prix, took the lead by the time that we got to turn 5. Leclerc and Lando Norris, as a result, was not given the preferential strategy. That is always going to go to the race leader. He did an extra lap because he knew he couldn't compete for track position. They put on a more durable tyre, and as a result, he is trying something different with Piastri trying to build a gap. You need 20 seconds to make a pit stop around this circuit.
The clipping on the main straight is shockingly. It's so hard.
Understood.
So derating, harvesting energy at the end of the long straight there for Max Verstappen. And effectively, you don't have that energy deployment. 160 horsepower you're missing, and it just feels awful as you start decelerating when you should just be building up the speed, as Hamilton's doing here, towards 200 miles per hour. And he has been sitting behind Leclerc all race, and Leclerc is not going to be any easier to pass in the dry than he was in the wet.
Oliver Behrman was the driver that we jumped on board with there. He's racing Fernando Alonso for 13th position. Behrman trying to score his first points since the 4th round of the season. You're watching round 13 of the Formula 1 World Championship in 2025. Jolyon Palmer is alongside me, Alex Shakes, and we're enjoying one of the great racetracks on the planet. Not as much as Lewis Hamilton, though, who has gained 11 places and is eyeing up the strengths and weaknesses of Albon, who's having a resurgent weekend in the Williams.
The clipping on the main straight is shockingly. It's so hard.
Understood.
His 5th position to George Russell in the early stages of the green flag running.
But this is much better from Williams, isn't it? Hanging with the faster cars as they were earlier on in the season. Here's Ollie Behrman up behind Fernando Alonso, who's in a higher downforce Aston Martin.
And he sells the dummy gets Alonso to defend and uses the DRS to get ahead. And as he makes the move for 13th, Antonelli improves to 16th.
So Lando, as an update, both cars will try and get to the end. We think the other car might have to do some pace management to make it work. That's our opportunity.
Okay, plot twist. The mediums might make it. And that is what Piastri is doing. So maybe that's why Oscar's not trying to wring the neck of his race-leading McLaren to build the gap, because he's actually thinking the best way is to not pit again, save the 20 seconds, and keep this on track, which now puts the pressure on Norris to find pace, use the grip he'll have and the durability of the hard tyre to close up and put pressure on Piastri. And he's going to want Oscar's tyres to start falling away before the end of the race then, if they're not going to look for another pit stop.
Well, last year was all about an audacious strategy, staying out on a hard tyre. George Russell stopped on lap 10. He went all the way to the end of the 44 laps and claimed the win. He was then disqualified for being underweight because no one was expecting to do a one-stop. No one expected a one-stop to work. And we are looking potentially at another one, this time from the intermediate tyres. Will the medium be durable enough? Is a defining question.
So Lando, as an update, both cars will try and get to the end. We think the other car might have to do some pace management to make it work. That's our opportunity.
Harder. So Norris should be absolutely fine. I mean, Russell proved what a stint you can do at the end of a hard, as long as they've got the weight on the car at the end of it as well. But, I mean, I'm sure everyone's learned from that one. But, yeah, the medium, that will take a bit of management from Piastri. The gap's still just less than 9 seconds. Norris with the fastest lap on the last lap.
George Russell getting within 0.8 of a second. Lance Stroll gets past Isaac Hadjar. That's the green Aston Martin going past the white Racing Bull. And Stroll is up to 17th position. We're trying to keep you updated on every single move in the field. The top 10 scoring points, 25 for the winner of the Grand Prix. It's 8 for the winner of the sprint, 25 for the winner of the Grand Prix. Lando Norris has the fastest middle sector so far in the Grand Prix. This is a replay of the Canadian driver's move up to 70.
So, if you're wondering why Isaac Hadjar is all the way down in 18th, having started and run up in the points earlier on, he pitted late, and it's the same lap of pit stop as Norris. The two Racing Bulls are running together, weren't they? And neither of them pitted on that first opportunity. So Lawson then had the Piastri lap pit stop, that was lap 12, and that left Hadjar out to dry, and he's fallen down the order. Same thing for Yuki Tsunoda. Neither Red Bull pitted at the first opportunity, which then left Tsunoda a little bit stuffed. Had the late pit stop, and he's now out of the top 10 as well. Meanwhile, Hülkenberg pitted the same lap as Hamilton. That brought him right up into play, and it allowed Bortoleto to take a good pit stop lap as well and stay in the top 10.
A 7-time world champion and the man who made all the right calls, didn't he? 2 weeks ago at Silverstone, overruling the team on 3 occasions to pit at the right time. He described to you that he was just trying to read the conditions on track, just go with the feel behind the wheel.
He's got a great feel behind the wheel. Less so over one lap at the moment, which he admitted to me. He said,
yeah.
I'm not feeling the grip necessarily over one lap, but in these wet, dry conditions, in nursing the tyres over multiple laps, it's not necessarily been the strong suit of Nico Hülkenberg all these years, but it is right now.
He's 7-6 down in the teammate head-to-head up against a rookie driver, the 37-year-old from Germany. Looked like we were going to see a move from the Mercedes man there, but we didn't get that at that point. Hadjar dropping down again. That's Carlos Sainz. The strategy's not been kind to him either as we've cycled through. Driver who started at what would have been the pit lane before we had the time behind the safety car started at the back, and he stayed there. He would have been hoping for the sort of progress that we've seen from Hamilton. They would have all known, the contenders at the back of the field, that there would be an opportunity to make the strategy work. Turns out it was intermediates to slicks.
Nico needs to overtake him, man. If not, let me go.
Okay, we are managing that here.
The man who was in his civvies in Parc Ferme congratulating his teammate. Massive respect between Bortoleto and Hülkenberg until they're running together on track. And then it's like, hoik him out the way, please, guys.
Drivers are such reasonable people until the visor clicks shut. And then it is, of course, ultra competitive. Feather off the throttle there for Sainz. He caught the Racing Bull too quickly, had to back out of it, and eventually made the move into Les Combes. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix, Lando Norris.
So Hadjar's really not enjoying these dry conditions either. And Hülkenberg's going to get the call. That'll be coming out of Eau Rouge then. Bortoleto will get his wish, and we'll see if he can close up to Lawson. These are important points that Sauber are aiming for, as are Racing Bulls.
This was a good circuit in Formula 2 for Gabriel Bortoleto. He was second here in the main race, the feature race last year, on the way to the title. And he moves past his teammate at the team's instruction. Bortoleto's got to back that up now with some great flying laps to try and bridge the gap to Liam Lawson. This is what it looks like on the Kemmel Straight. A lot of vibration on there.
Nico needs to overtake him, man. If not, let me go.
Okay, we are managing that here.
Yeah, two drivers really lacking confidence at the moment, Antonelli and Colapinto. Lacking confidence and lacking experience, so it's understandable, really. But Mercedes took that car off the grid. It was due to start down in 18th and started it from the pit lane, which allowed him to put a little bit more downforce on, which has actually made this overtake harder than it might have been. But in the end, the DRS open here, and Antonelli managed to sweep back towards the dry patch for braking as well. And as you say, he can now focus on the next car ahead.
Antonelli put a great move on Colapinto into Eau Rouge last year. Had to wait until a couple of corners later for that one, but he's gained a position, and we're seeing a flurry of action. Different cars are going to work well in different conditions. The track is an evolving thing here, drying out all the time, with the track temperature at 26 degrees, the air temperature at 17, and no reports of further rain at the moment. But this is Spa. Things can change very, very quickly in this part of the world, and not just uniformly on the racetrack. It can be wet in one corner and dry in another. We're looking at Colapinto up against Lance Stroll. Left-hand side of your picture, Oscar Piastri, the 24-year-old from Melbourne, making his 59th Grand Prix start today, trying to extend his championship lead.
I think Hadjar dived into the pits. Yeah, he did, in the back of shot there. So miserable stint, and I wonder if there's an issue then with his Racing Bulls car, and that's also why he's tumbling down the order quickly. Let's have a look.
Yeah, that's been a really tough stint for him, and they're getting rid of the mediums and putting on the hard tyres. Hadjar's not reported anything on the radio, but for whatever reason, those mediums were just not working with that car. Lance Stroll and Franco Colapinto is the battle we're looking at. This is for 16th position. And there's no close battle at the moment inside the top 10, but wear rates on the medium tyre.
And Oscar, what you're doing looks good. It's your call, really, on whether we try and get to the end on this tyre or we consider a pit stop for another one. At the moment, I think try to get to the end.
I can feel a little bit of sag already, so I think it will be tough to get to the end.
in and try and deter Piastri from hanging it on that medium tyre. The longer he goes, the more he'll think, actually, the end's in sight. Maybe I'll stay on it. Will he have anything left when he gets there? Of course, the same question that Piastri has, everyone else in the field will have, and there might yet be strategy ramifications for the podium place. Leclerc, Verstappen, and Russell just dropping away from that bunch, really, isn't he? But still, not out of the question mark if there's going to be another pit stop.
Fastest middle sector of the Grand Prix so far for Lando Norris, beginning to apply the pressure. It's finally in the balance at the front. Gasly just trying to pick his line. We did see last year that you have to be significantly quicker than the car ahead to go for a move. The best overtaking opportunity on the racetrack is Lecombe at turn 5, which is where the last car on the road, Isaac Hadjar, is. And despite the mixed conditions, all cars still running for this one. That is going to see, as it stands, Oscar Piastri extend his lead in the championship to 16 points, but the swing could be dramatic and take it down to 2. It's in the balance for the Belgian Grand Prix, and Charles Leclerc working on what would be a very satisfying podium. There's 2.3 seconds. Those in the mid-pack will be looking for a gap. If maybe they wanted to stop, take on new rubber and attack again. We're on board nose cam with Kimi Antonelli, who is in his rookie season of Formula One. Had a podium so far, but that is his only point score in the last 6 Grand Prix.
Frustrating for all of this bunch. Stuck in behind Pierre Gasly in 11th place, but Gasly's dropping away from the 2 Saubers as well. And if you're Gasly at the moment, you're doing your best, you're getting your elbows out, keeping your friend Yuki Tsunoda behind, and Yuki will be even more frustrated having run up in 7th place at the start of this one. And Pierre's got to hope that something comes towards him and a point for Alpine. You can hear the revs rise as Antonelli gets on the DRS, but so does Alonso, so does Behrman, so does Tsunoda, and that's what a DRS train is.
Antonelli had the fastest first sector of anyone so far because he was getting a 4-car tow on his way to turn 5.
Norris loses a second in the middle sector. The gap there was 8 seconds, it goes to 9 seconds, so Lando was pressing on. The lap before, he had done the fastest middle sector of the Grand Prix. This time, the gap goes out as he makes a mistake. So as Piastri crosses the line for another lap of serious consistency, his best is a 46.3. He's churning out 46.4s at the moment. Norris will come through on a 47.6. So he's lost 1.2 seconds on that lap.
Somewhere between turn 5 and turn 14, Lando Norris has had a moment.
It's Pouon.
And it was always going to be Pouon, wasn't it? He's going to go wide at Pouon corner. We'll dig out the replay for you, but it's cost him time. Now he's got to re-establish himself and go again, having had that wide moment. And it might be dry on the racing line. Look at the left-hand side there as we make our way to Lecombe. It is not consistently dry around this circuit yet.
Right, it makes it difficult to overtake as well when you have to go over wetter parts. It's still impossible on the Kemmel Straight, but I'll tell you what, you don't normally have a small moment at Pouon, particularly when there's moisture off the racing line, so I wonder what did happen for him.
This is the corner in question where we believe Lando Norris went off on the last lap. Just a wide moment, nothing major, but enough to cost him momentum trying to close the gap to Piastri. You get the feeling that will be immediately relayed. That's the corner where we think he had an issue 1 tour ago. We're on lap 27 of 44.
I think Piastri's got to go to the end. I think he's 17 laps to go. Norris isn't making any inroads right now. He's just lost that 1.2 seconds on the last tour.
Here's a nice pass for Kimi Antonelli. He's been working on this one for a while. He gets past Fernando Alonso. Mercedes past the Aston Martin, and he is able to break past a car in the train.
Yeah, Aston Martin cranked on the wing yesterday, thinking it was going to be wet. They were right, but it wasn't wet for long enough, and now they're going backwards. They were locking out the back row of the grid before they peeled Fernando into the pit lane with Antonelli for the start.
This is on board with Kimi Antonelli. We're showing you every bump of that Kemmel Straight with that camera. Fantastic impression of speed, and 14th position secured for the driver who started P19.
So another quick lap for Piastri. He's actually just nudged down his best by half a tenth. Another metronomically good one. And Norris has matched him, well, he's 1/10 down. The gap stays at 9.2 seconds. So 16 laps to go. There's a lot for Oscar to do if he's going to pit and come back and chase Lando down. If he's going to pit, he's going to emerge with Verstappen as well. So I think he's got to just cling on to these mediums, which at this rate will be the modus operandi for all.
2 laps, we're going to see Lewis Hamilton and Alex Albon. This is a brilliant angle of the Ferrari climbing the hill. Haven't seen that one before. Cameras all over the cars, and that is a huge elevation change. But Alex Albon, last time around, did an identical lap time to George Russell ahead, but Hamilton was slightly faster. And Sainz has been shown the black and white flag for driving standards and track limits. If he goes beyond the white lines of the racetrack one more time, it's a 5-second penalty for the Williams driver.
He's pitted as well on the last lap. So that's Eau Rouge, the same place as Hamilton got pinged for yesterday. And Sainz has just got to check that. Williams just needs to tell him on the radio, and then he'll correct that line. You're pointing so far uphill, it's kind of just a sixth sense of where you're going. Just muscle memory, really, rather than actually looking at the white line as you're facing the sky at Eau Rouge. The incline is that steep. And yeah, Sainz can just correct that. He's taken the hard tyres now, and he was the one that came on the radio and said the deg on the medium is really high. We're not seeing such drop-off from others. Piastri another lap in 1:46.4. This time Norris is quicker by half a second with the fastest lap of the race. So is this now Lando getting back in the groove and applying the pressure he's going to have to do if he's going to make a fight out of this? Charles Leclerc has done his personal best though on the medium, so they are clinging on for now.
So Norris re-establishes himself. Lando Norris took his 4th pole position of the season yesterday. He is searching for win number 9 in his Formula 1 career, and his 5th of the season. That's the total that Oscar Piastri has managed. Would be a real change in fortunes if Norris can rattle off 3 wins in a row and leave them separated by 2 points heading into round 14 of the championship next week in Budapest, a track where Lando Norris has always shown great pace no matter what competitive class of McLaren he has been driving. Norris has never finished on the podium for this Grand Prix. Piastri was very close to the win 1 year ago. He has the lead of 8.6 seconds as Norris tries to find clean laps and eventually take him into DRS range of his teammate. Once again, looks like this one's going to go all the way to the end of the Belgian Grand Prix.
Yeah, Norris has got carte blanche here just to fire it up as much as he can and get that lap time down and get the gap down to Piastri. Piastri's got to go quickly, but he's got to think about the tyres in the back of his mind as well and dance that edge a little bit more of pace versus consistency on his lap times. Norris is finding a little bit more on this lap, and they're about to come past us once again, with Piastri finding another 1/10 of a second. Norris 8.6 seconds behind, finding just a couple of tenths on Oscar. It's not enough.
Lando Norris lost a second a couple of laps ago. Has re-established the gap at around 8 seconds. And we're looking at the battle between Yuki Tsunoda and Oliver Behrman. Behrman in his first full season of Formula 1, part of the Ferrari Academy as a junior, and won a place with the Haas team because of that connection. Had a lot of FP1s for them, and he convinced the team led by Komatsu to hire him, and he part of the new lineup for this year for the American team, smallest in terms of the employee headcount in Formula 1. Esteban Ocon and Ollie Behrman have been enjoying some great moments. Ocon's been doing the majority of the points. He's in the top 10. And Behrman looking for his 4th point scoring finish of the season today, but he's currently in 13th. Fernando Alonso's come to the pits. He's getting new rubber. There we go. The Aston Martin man hits his marks. I have a feeling he won't be giving long, detailed answers after the race. He'll want to get to one of his favourite circuits, Budapest, where he took his first ever Formula 1 win back in 2003. Fernando Alonso, the most experienced driver in Formula 1 history, a man who turns 44 years of age on Tuesday. So we predicted this battle between Alex Albon and Lewis Hamilton. That's what we're seeing on track at the moment. This is the Fagnes chicane, high-speed chicane, carrying a lot of speed through. Alex Albon looking for good points. This would be a big moment for Williams, who have suffered with reliability issues and the fact that the pack have caught them up. To be honest, Sauber have been resurgent in recent times. Hamilton has looked strong. Now, we've been waiting to show you this moment. Pouhon corner, Lando Norris, lap 26. backed out of it, was super cautious and rejoined the racetrack. It cost him a second.
Yeah, well, he did the right thing there, just to bail out, take a couple of downshifts, slow it down, rather than try and keep his foot in with a loaded G on a more slippery part of the circuit. So he saved himself for another day, but it did cost him that 1.3 seconds in the middle part of the lap, 1.2 at the end of it. So he's had that momentum, he lost it, and now he's getting it back again with another fastest lap of the race. 0.3 quicker than Oscar on the last lap, 13 laps to go. He's not put Piastri under enough pressure though, still over 8 seconds that Oscar has.
Okay, Kimi Antonelli's heading to the pit lane. You can see the Mercedes veering to the pit lane. There you go, it's on the left-hand side of your graphic, and he goes for new tyres as well. Should Oscar Piastri have gone for new tyres? 8.4, a battle where nothing is happening and then it's going to come alive if Lando Norris has made the right call. If he's on the durable tyre and the medium fades away in the hands of the cars further back without the balance, it's not lasting. Can Piastri make it work and take another win this year? It would be his 6th win of the season.
These guys that are pitting are out of the points. They've got nothing to lose, so they'll give it a go on fresher tyres and see if that'll give them more impetus to go and catch. It's the Gasly train, really, isn't it? 11th place, still holding back Tsunoda and Behrman. And that's battle rejoined between Alonso and Antonelli, but Mercedes holding off the Aston Martin at that stage. You have to assume Norris is giving it everything he's got on the hard tyre that will get to the end of the race. So then it's just a question of whether Piastri's tyres will drop off. But at the moment, he's just staying very, very consistent with his times. And Norris just gained 1/10 on the last lap. Leclerc is still just nudging down his personal best as well. So the mediums, they are hanging on.
This is on board with two-time world champion Fernando Alonso. He came in and took the new rubber. He scored in the last 4 consecutive Grand Prix, having not scored in any of the first 8 so far of the 2025 season. You see Lando Norris has the fastest lap as it stands. He's going to need more of a time swing. The gap is 8.1 seconds. As you look at the pit stops, and you can see that Antonelli leads the train of cars that have made 2 stops in the race so far. Behrman is now looking at Yuki Tsunoda. You can see it's very, very tight between the two of them. If you add it all up, only 0.07 of a second behind. Tsunoda's trying to get past his old teammate and good friend in Formula One, Pierre Gasly. Very sporting stuff, wasn't it, when he was off to the stewards after sprint qualifying, and he said, no, I wasn't impeded by Gasly. No point in arguing that one, no penalty required. He's been facing the back of the Alpine all the way through. Alpine, for some context, 10th in the Constructors' Championship heading into this race.
They'd love just a solitary point. Something to take out of this for Alpine would be great. Gasly was due to start 8th in that sprint, wasn't he? But he had to be wheeled to the pit lane and lose a couple of laps with an issue on the grid. So they lost a good chance in the race yesterday morning. Just getting that point would be something for the team that is, as you say, right at the back of the field. Already scored in 3 races this year so far. Had a 6th place last time out at Silverstone. Gasly was absolutely over the moon with it. When I think he definitely considers himself to be in the weakest car this year. His teammates between Doohan and Colapinto, the only drivers to not score points. Gasly's managing to get that car routinely into the midfield, but the points is another ask, and right now he's in 11th, and we just love something to unfold ahead.
The last time around, Lando Norris did a 1:45.9. It was a 1:46.3 for Oscar Piastri. The medium tyre is degrading. We can see that from the tyre marbles, discarded balls of rubber on the outside of Blanchimont corner. And one of the drivers really struggling is the man ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Alex Albon has been reporting to the team that his tyres are done. That's usually Lewis Hamilton's line, but at the moment he's closing in, and that's the closest he's been since he left the pits.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Hamilton on the prowl. Did so many of those early overtakes on the Inters. Had the initiative. He was the first driver to pit for the slicks. Let a few in on lap 11. One of them was Nico Hülkenberg, who jumped up the order. And Hülkenberg has gone for another set of mediums then to go to the end. So that will put Gasly in 10th. And Sauber are rolling the dice, thinking the medium won't last until the end.
Deg looked as expected. We still think the best thing is to go to the end on this tyre.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
Piastri backs the team. He believes he can get that medium tyre to the end of the race, task number 1, and he believes that he can keep Lando Norris behind him. That's task number 2.
Well, I'm surprised that Sauber have pitted Hulkenberg. It's for 10th, but he was under no pressure with Gasly holding back the rest of the field. But they obviously felt like their medium tyres might be about to drop away before the end. He's had to cover off Antonelli and Alonso, who were a good chunk further back. So that's what they've done. And that has put Gasly now up into that 10th position. If the same were to happen at the front and Piastri's tyres were to fall away, that's what Lando Norris needs to make a race out of this.
Talking of making a race out of it, another element that could change things is about to come the way of Piastri. He's getting closer and closer to having to lap cars. So Piastri is currently at turn 8. Isaac Hadjar is making his way to turn 10. He's the first of the runners that will have to move over when he gets the blue flags.
It's easier to lap cars around this circuit than it has been at others. Remember Austria, when Piastri was on the grass, almost bundled off by Colapinto. Albon had a big old slide coming out of La Source. He is definitely getting through the rears. This circuit can punish the front tyres as well, but Hamilton wasn't close enough.
Deg looked as expected. We still think the best thing is to go to the end on this tyre.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
From the bus stop all the way to Eau Rouge and Radion on the Kemmel Straight, and now Hulkenberg will pull out of the slipstream and get 14th position. That one's been coming for a while. He pulls in, takes the place, and he gets by. Antonelli will try to do the same.
He's got to get these moves done quickly and charge up to the rest of the pack behind Gasly. That's Hulkenberg's job now for the rest of the race. And he's got 15 seconds to make up to get there in 9 laps. So it's got to be a pretty mighty effort, and he's going to need the other medium tyres to really fall away. Which is basically what's happening to Ocon here, which is why they're being held up behind him. Antonelli's going to face the same issue.
So this is a high-speed circuit, but it requires you, once you get close, to try and avoid the dirty air. But the dirty air from the car in front has got worse in recent years.
Now, these tyres are getting tricky. You need to keep the focus. Don't push the braking as hard as we have been. You're naturally quicker.
Feedback to the driver that we've just seen lock up at La Source, the turn 1 hairpin. That cost Lando all the way up the hill. And it is a long run, it's 2 kilometres, and you just take that loss. So he locked up on the way in, he's later to throttle then, and it's flat out through Eau Rouge. So the gap went back up to that 8 seconds that has been the average gap, ebbing and flowing around for Norris so far. And with every lap that ticks away, you just feel that Piastri's got this one in hand. The medium tyre's still hanging on. Piastri's still putting in the metronomic laps, and Norris is having to dig deep. Just getting the information there from his race engineer, just saying, don't overcook the braking. We need to keep these tyres in the right window. And as you run out of rubber, you can sometimes actually just drop them away from temperature as well. And there, Lando just overcooking it on the braking. So just run the speed through, and he's bringing the gap back down on this lap. He needs to be error-free for the rest of the race, he feels.
Another pass heading into Les Combes. This time it's going to be Kimi Antonelli trying to go around the outsides. That's a tidy move for the man who's been...
So, Lando, these tyres are getting tricky. You need to keep the focus. Don't push the braking as hard as we have been. You're naturally quicker.
Keep it on the roads, and Ocon sweeps by.
It's wetter out wide as well, so if he can't find that racing line, you find a lack of grip. So he just hoiked it over the curb, and Ocon managed to save himself for another lap.
Talking of another lap, but Lewis Hamilton is getting closer and closer to Alex Albon. At one point it was 0.3 of a second by the end of the Kemmel Straight. They're on the Kemmel Straight again. Hamilton just can't find a way past the Williams, despite the fact he's had DRS, despite the fact he's been within DRS for a long time now.
Yeah, frustrating for Hamilton. Again, running a little bit more wing on his car. had the chance to start from the pit lane, it would be the obvious thing to do, and it gave him a lot of speed on the inters. We saw him charging past people in the middle sector, but he hasn't got the straight line speed over Albon, even on the with the DRS.
Yuki Tsunoda has been on the radio asking the team to do something, because he's like, no points this way, it's not happening unless you give me new rubber. And then Hulkenberg got out of the way, and suddenly Tsunoda knows that it's a pass at Les Combes at turn 5 at the corner of the racetrack we're heading to, with the battle in your picture at the moment. Tsunoda trying to return to the points for the first time since Imola.
The gap at the front goes less than 7 seconds suddenly. Norris has just taken 2 chunks of slightly more than half a second on Piastri. Piastri's lap's falling away as much as Norris is getting back to his best flying laps of the race so far. So is this the first sign that the mediums on the race leader are starting to drop? It's not by enough at the moment. Half a second lap is not enough for Norris, but he needs to just keep the pressure on, because once they start to go, it normally does just get worse and worse.
And Max Verstappen is getting closer and closer to DRS up against Charles Leclerc. That gap has come down from 2.5 to 1.3. This is Lewis Hamilton, who was the winner of this Grand Prix 1 year ago. Got a bit of tape coming off the back of that rear wing. Maybe slowing him down, but not ideal. That is Eau Rouge. They're climbing the hill. A magnificent grandstand. They made some alterations to the circuit in recent times to go past the thousands on the hill that had to wait 90 minutes for this Grand Prix to get underway. But they've seen plenty of overtaking into this corner so far. The key move at the very start of the race, when Piastri, we talked about the risk, we talked about the reward, he went brave, he stayed close, he got the lead, and the lead has remained his. But 6.4, how close can Lando Norris get? Can he make it another inter-team battle for the win on the last lap in Belgium, like we had last year?
He is building the pace at the moment. Personal best, first and second sector for Norris. Piastri just dropping away. Norris knows that this is it. It's all or nothing for 7 laps, and then just hope that the hard tyre is the right choice. It was the sensible choice for him, given the option at the time. On the medium, you're like for like. You've lost the optimum strategy. You're behind your teammate, so do something different. And on the last lap, he's 7 tenths quicker than Piastri. We're getting close to a window of them coming towards each other for the end of the race.
And every corner is so important. And it then turns in to a moment like Pouhon or a moment like La Source. Turn 10, turn 1, any wide moment, and that could be it for Lando Norris's charge. But if the same thing happens to Piastri, then suddenly Norris would veer onto the Kemmel Straight, and when you can see the car ahead, the driver, his spirits lift, and suddenly he knows he's in a fight. This is defining stuff. We know that the McLaren drivers are going to take home the largest trophies by the end of the year, but it's turning second places into wins at the end that defines who is going to be our world champion. And Norris, this would be a huge story if he could get it. Would be a real satisfying victory for Piastri if he's able to make the move on his teammate and nurse the mediums to the end. Whoever's second today is going to be so downbeat.
Absolutely. I've got the pleasure of talking to them in a minute as well at the end of this one.
Lucky you, Joe. Enjoy that.
One of them will be delighted, the other one will not. And that is how a championship battle goes, particularly when they're in the same team. This is small differences in the championship. You get swings either way. Austria went towards Norris. Piastri had a moment where he led the race and then had to settle for second.
Verstappen 1.2.
Leave me alone, please. I can have great information, and then when he's getting close, I have too much information. He becomes that over.
1.2 because we just saw Leclerc have a lock-up at the final corner. So the right front lock-up, the tyre starting to go away. The right front is the one you're really leaning on through Pouhon and starting to go, but he's keeping Max outside of DRS range. We know the Ferrari's quicker on a straight line as well, so Charles very much just focusing on himself at the moment. The gap at the front, 5.5 seconds. Lando doing his best lap of the race, but Oscar's holding that pace firm. It's tight, it's tight.
It's about the ability of the driver in the lead to nurse the medium tyres to the end. It's about Norris going all in on the most durable tyre. He lost the lead at the start. He was forced into this corner. It would be huge for Lando Norris. He's got Some great wins in Formula One, 8 of them to be exact. He hasn't had a late pass for the lead on arrival like he would have if he can win this one. And that could be defining when the margins make a difference between teammates. One moment can change everything, but he doesn't have the pace advantage at this stage. Piastri will be taking the tread off those slick tyres, wearing the rubber down and down and down. The racing line is still the driest part of the circuit. There are still wet parts. If you go beyond, one wide moment could change everything.
Verstappen 1.2.
Leave me alone, please. Like I have great information, and then when he's getting close, I have too much information. Keep it constant, don't worry.
Meanwhile, Norris will start to see himself catching the car ahead. It just gives you that little bit more motivation. You think, there he is, come on, a little bit quicker, corner after corner.
Norris in the middle, here's Hadjar.
There is sales of rain developing around the track, currently clear, we're monitoring.
It is darker out there, but the forecast says there'll be no more rain. Lando Norris caught Hadjar in the middle sector where there's no obvious way by. Hadjar has been given 4 blue wave flags and is still ahead of Lando Norris, who should clear and lap him into the chicane, into the bus stop at the end of the lap, and he does so. So the gap is 4.4. I wonder if that could have come down more if he'd not caught that car in the middle sector.
Yeah, he gained nothing in the middle sector this time around, so 4.4, 4 laps to go. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. But if Piastri just can keep this pace, he may well just hang on.
And that's the only lapped car we expect to come into the picture. So Colapinto is way too far up the road. I don't think they'll catch him. So that has hurt Norris, who needs a big lap by way of response now. He's going to take this one as a battle for the win to the last lap. It's lap 41 of 44. Well, this one is really in the balance, and we've found ourselves with Gasly holding Tsunoda at bay for the final point. Bortoletto looking for another point score. He's only got 1 in Formula One. That was back in Austria a couple of races ago. We're looking at the closest battle on track. This isn't for points.
There is sales of rain developing around the track, currently clear, we're monitoring.
About straight line speed, and that's how he's keeping the Mercedes at bay. Antonelli, Alonso, they just want to get to Budapest. That will be the aim for them. 3.8 seconds is the gap. On the left-hand side of your picture, the leading pair. Last time around, Lando Norris, 0.3 of a second faster. He will want more than that. He will need more than that. The medium tyres of Piastri degrading. The hard tyre is one that Norris has been pushing on. He had a lock-up at turn 1. Before that, he had a lock-up at turn 10. Those moments at La Source and Pouhon corner might mean that he finds himself just too far off the back. But it is so hard to push one of these beautiful cars to the limit without any error, and yet that is the standard that Piastri is challenging Norris to reach as Norris rotates the car through La Source. Lap 42 of 44. We didn't expect it to be fully dry by the end. Many expected the track to remain intermediate for a long time. Listen to this. Giving it everything through
weather update. Could be a few drops in turn 1 in the last couple of laps. Not currently expecting it, but not impossible.
Displayed in the paddock here. He is the man with the checkered flag, and Norris knows that that moment has decided it. He had so much momentum, pushing to the limit. Would it be Piastri? Would it be Lando Norris who cracked first? The degraded medium tyres for Piastri put him under huge pressure, but deep into La Source on the penultimate lap means Piastri will go and see the left mirror, see the right mirror, and witness his teammate further back as a result. Last year, Oscar Piastri was denied at this racetrack by Lewis Hamilton. It wasn't by much, but it was by enough. This year, he goes on to the 44th and last lap in the lead, trying to nurse those medium tyres home. This is the corner that might have decided it last time around. Norris was passed at the start, and as a result, needed to try and do something different. But Piastri is on his way to win number 6 of the season. Piastri would have been ticking off the moments. The crowd applaud the McLaren man. There's no victory lap here. So this will have to be the celebration for Piastri, who is trying to pick his braking spots all the way to the end. The man from Melbourne trying to claim his first Formula One World Championship. It will be a McLaren driver, and he will re-establish his championship lead back up, having been under pressure. It was 8 points at the start of the weekend. He scored an extra point in the sprint by beating his teammate. It will go up to 16 by the close of play, and Piastri is soaking in the adulation of the crowd. It's 4.3 miles, and he will be so relieved. Norris brought the pressure in the last 2 Grand Prix. A brilliant battle between these two in Austria favoured Lando Norris at the flag. Then it swung towards Oscar Piastri at Silverstone, or so we thought, before the controversial penalty that appeared to ignite a fire when we saw Piastri attacking this racetrack earlier in the weekend. But he missed out on pole position. He raced at the start of the green flag running with a real intent, and Oscar Piastri is nearly home. 2 corners to go for the Australian driver, who, when he comes out of turn 19, will look up and see the checkered flag first. Oscar Piastri wins the Belgian Grand Prix. He beats his teammate to the win by 3.4 seconds. Win number 6 of the season, and championship lead extended for Oscar Piastri, as Charles Leclerc has kept Max Verstappen at bay. He was deep into the final chicane, but the gap is enough. It's Charles Leclerc who completes the podium. He denied Verstappen by 1.5 seconds. McLaren celebrate a 13th win at Spa, and it's a 1-2 as well. Their first triumph here since Jenson Button in 2012. Oscar Piastri got the job done on the first racing lap. Brave into Eau Rouge. He took the lead then. He never lost it. He took those degrading medium tyres to the end, and he punches the air as the winner.
Great afternoon. Really good.
Let's go.
Really good job, mate. Really good.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Well, that will be a drive of real satisfaction. For Lando Norris, second place will represent a first podium at the Belgian Grand Prix. But when you start on pole, anything else other than the win is a tough moment. And in the battle to be the 35th Formula One World Champion, it's a re-established lead in the points for Piastri, who once again puts right what happened in 2024, where in the end he was denied by Lewis Hamilton. Across the line, they were separated by 0.6 of a second. Today, he's won it by 3.4, and he will take home the largest trophy. A straight fight, a degrading tyre, and a hug from the boss. Zach Brown says well done to his Australian driver. And it was a big call originally to drop such an established name in Daniel Ricciardo. But Piastri joined McLaren, has never looked back. A a champion of Formula 3 and Formula 2, the championship leader of Formula 1. Asking him to turn around and pose for the photos with the team. And a word for all the team members who were getting soaked out there, deliver the pit stops required. That will be satisfaction for McLaren, who are on their way to retain the Constructors' title, and it won't be long, will it? It will not be long until they can mathematically say that that's the case. Great to see the respect between teammates as well, as Charles Leclerc has secured another podium finish for the season. That's 5 for the...
Great afternoon. Really good.
Let's go.
Really good job, mate. Really good.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Optimise that setup. He finished 20 seconds off the race lead. Lewis Hamilton, amazing progress earlier on. He has finished as the driver of the day. Would have been the minimum he expected. Speaking to Kimi Antonelli in the rain delay and speaking to him straight after the race. It remained in the dry, pretty difficult to overtake. But Hamilton gaining 11 places there and finishing in 7th. Hamilton, Verstappen beginning the debrief. Verstappen without the car that he's had previously, but without the moment we saw yesterday how much he celebrated the sprint win. Understandable. And Piastri leaves with what looked likely at some points. Piastri had to deal with Lando Norris taking pole position. This was across the line. No, this was the moment that decided it. Oh, it's only a minor lockup, but there you go, wide onto the curb. A second lost, momentum interrupted. You just seen him switch the strap mode, looking for all the performance possible, and that looks so innocuous, but that was momentum interrupted. He also had some pickup on the tyres, some discarded rubber that he ran over, and that decided things. The end of the charge. And Jolien has made his way to the commentary box to speak to our top 3.
Charles, fantastic drive to get Ferrari back to a podium. I'm guessing with the car that you had today, you were thinking the rain might not suit you and you had to really work in that first stint. How was it with Max behind on the Inters?
Max was behind the whole race within 2 seconds, so it's never easy. I knew that the first part of the race was the trickiest one for us because we maybe didn't have the downforce that the McLaren or that Max had, as they compromised a little bit the qualifying to be better in the rain today. But luckily it dried up pretty quickly and then the pace was good. But still, Max was right behind all the whole race. So I'm pretty happy that we managed to keep that third place.
Yeah, you pitted the same lap and the crew did a great job to get you back out ahead of Max again. And then the fight continued. We did see it close up. We have Brian on the radio telling you it was 1.2 seconds suddenly. And you wanted to be left alone in that moment. How is it when you've got Max chasing you, even in the dry there, knowing that a podium here is a great result for Ferrari?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the pressure is high, especially in those conditions, because as soon as you are 10, 15 centimeters out the right line, then it's wet or greasy, and then you can lose the line and do a very big mistake. So at one point I just told Brian to leave me alone, but yeah, obviously he's trying to give me the most information. Sometimes I need them. Today I didn't, and I let him know.
And upgrades on the car. Budapest next week, not a sprint race, hoping for a little bit more?
I hope so. I mean, honestly, we've had what we expected with this upgrade, and that's really positive. We need to keep learning about how to maximize this new upgrade. It's still pretty new, but it's a good first weekend, and I'm happy that we are on the podium to thank the whole team back in Maranello. So, but we keep pushing, and hopefully we'll put soon a bit more pressure on the McLarens.
Yeah, great job. Brilliant recovery this weekend. Well done, Charles.
Thank you, Rush.
Lando, second place today. Really tricky conditions out there. I mean, we got to start with the start. Intermediate tyres, and just looked like a difficulty to find that grip, and in an instant the lead was gone.
Yeah, I mean, Oscar just did a good job. Nothing more to say. Committed a bit more through Eau Rouge, and and had the slipstream and got the run. So yeah, nothing to complain of. Did a better job in the beginning, and that was it. Nothing more I could do after that point. So yes, I mean, would love to be up top, but Oscar deserved it today.
Yeah, very evenly matched in terms of pace, but you changed the tyre to the hard. Seemed like a really last-minute question that you were asked, and then a sensible choice to take the hard tyre, and then just a flat-out push to see what you could do. You had a good chase.
Yeah.
Was it possible if you had kept it perfectly clean? I mean, we saw a big moment at Pouhon, at La Source.
It's shoulda, woulda, coulda. So I'm not gonna, Oscar deserved it. I'm sure he made a couple of mistakes. So if he drove a perfect race, I couldn't have won today. So I'll review my things. But so happy for the team. Another 1-2. I think our first 1-2 here for many, many years. So nice to bring that back to the team. And a well-deserved result for them and for Oscar too.
Yeah, still a great result and a good push. And you've got Budapest next week, which is a circuit I know you love as well. Pole position there.
Point, you never know if someone's going to crash and there's a safety car, and then at that point you want a medium for the restart. And also the medium seemed pretty good in the sprint yesterday, so yeah, I think it didn't make too much difference. But yeah, when you're fighting like that 1-2, you're always going to try and get an advantage in one way or another, and I think we did the safest thing.
And Budapest, I know it's a good track for Lando, but it was your first win last year, so happy memories to return to very soon.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's going to be exciting to go back. It's a track I enjoy. And yes, scene of my first win last year. So I'm looking forward to getting back, and hopefully we can continue the momentum, because this weekend the pace has been incredibly strong.
Yeah, go and celebrate first. You deserve
Thank
it.
you.
Well done. Oscar
Cheers.
Piastri, the race winner.
Jolyon Palmer in conversation with the top three. Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, and the winner of the Belgian Grand Prix for the first time in his career, Oscar Piastri. Described it as lively behind the wheel. I can understand why. When he was trying to nurse those tyres to the end. That's one of those where it looks simple when it works, and one wide moment could have changed everything. He's signing the champagne, a six-time Grand Prix winner in 2025, and the leader of the World Championship by a 16-point margin. And he's dedicating that one to his granddad. A lovely touch. Outside my commentary box window, I'm watching the crowd pour onto the circuit. They're making their way in front of the podium that Oscar Piastri will soon stand on the top step of. And both the McLaren drivers have 8 wins apiece. This was it, the first racing lap. Piastri was disappointed, it was a rolling start, but there was big risk in that moment to stay so close to his teammate, then the momentum, then the win.
Well, that makes me feel a bit better about yesterday. I would say that was part of my plan, but well done everyone. Car was mega once again. Yeah, what a day. Thank you very much. Very much appreciate it. Let's go.
A great attacking move, and then a conservation drive to the flag. A hug from the boss, and the largest trophy about to be deposited into his grasp. First, though, the cooldown run.
For me, the only problem is the bouncing.
Yeah.
When I'm bouncing, and then my...
Well, that makes me feel a bit better about yesterday. I would say that was part of my plan, but well done everyone. Car was mega once again. Yeah, what a day. Thank you very much. Very much appreciate it. Let's go.
You were flat here or not?
Oh, no. Were you?
No. Fuck, this issue must be there. Yeah. I'm surprised it was so much. Oh!
That's not
Bye, Oscar. Bye, Oscar. This was sketchy on the first couple of laps.
Yeah.
You look at that.
Oh, yeah, that's the bouncing you were speaking about.
After this, I was like, okay, chill. Track limits. Nice.
Whoa.
Oh.
Whoa. That's a really good move.
Oh.
Yeah,
I see that. Oh. There was a couple laps where you had like you lost a bit more time. Yeah.
Final comment there, Lando Norris saying there were a couple of laps where you lost a bit more time, and that's when the gap came down from 5 seconds to 3. We wondered whether we'd get a last lap battle, but then the lock-up, and it wasn't even a lock-up really, was it? It was just a wide moment for Norris, trying to take those hard tyres to the end. But the move on the first racing lap decided things. But Lando's mum is ready to see her boy on P2. His first podium at this storied racetrack. So Charles Leclerc standing back on the podium again. Never easy when Max Verstappen is chasing you all the way to the end. But it was an immaculate race under that pressure. And Lando Norris gathering himself and heading as part of a third consecutive McLaren 1-2. This time, unlike the last two, in second position. The roll call now includes the name Oscar Piastri, winners of the Belgian Grand Prix. He is heading to the top step to hear his national anthem once again, his 6th Grand Prix win of the season. Special stuff to celebrate with your family underneath the podium. You saw his father, Chris, there. He supported him all the way through the racing ladder. He's watched his boy win the Belgian Grand Prix. Oscar Piastri with another trophy for the cabinet. And there'll also be the gold medal as well, in front of a packed track of fans continuing to make their way onto the circuit. There is the gold medal for the driver who always looked favourite to win the Grand Prix. From his raw pace, Verstappen took the sprint, Lando took the pole. This is a lovely moment for Phil McWilliams, who is Oscar Piastri's #1 mechanic and the man representing the champion team, who have claimed another 1-2, their third in a row. Lando Norris claims his 37th career podium. Disappointed to not convert pole to the win. As Jolyn mentioned, he is heading to a real circuit where he has had great form in the past. The former Ferrari man and their current driver, the third place trophy. Jackie Ickx presenting Charles Leclerc with another trophy for the cabinet. He's 48th in Formula One. Well, we had to wait for it, and in the end it was settled immediately. Norris went on the charge. Piastri had a response. The re-established lead is 16 points in the Drivers' World Championship, as Charles Leclerc makes the most of the Ferrari updates and joins the McLaren pair. Lando's mum excited to see her boy on the podium. Smiles all round for Piastri. Norris has 4 wins this campaign. He now has the 6. Charles Leclerc dreaming of getting one by the time that the season concludes, but it is going to be a McLaren driver who succeeds Max Verstappen as world champion. They continue to just rattle off the 1-2s time and time again. And Oscar's mechanic is enjoying the moment with his driver who's taken the win. Great reception from the fans who had to endure the wet conditions earlier on. Delighted that we were able to get the full race in for them. And it dried out pretty quickly. When it did, Piastri found his way by. And that is the story of the Belgian Grand Prix in 2025. I want to thank the whole team, both at Biggin Hill in the UK and on site across a huge sprawling site of Spa. It is one of Formula One's fabled venues. It is a racetrack that every driver wants to triumph at. And this year, that triumph, that victory belongs to Oscar Piastri, who's taken the win. Goodbye.